United so far, they take on Liverpool in Columbus, Ohio, later on today before flying home from their US tour to prepare for the Community Shield against their city rivals. So far, they've lost 1-0 to Rosenborg, beaten Glasgow Rangers 2-0, lost 2-1 to Arsenal. Hang on, there's a contradictory thing on that. They did something against Arsenal and then they won on penalties. They beat Real Betis 3-2. Cass, they brought in some expensive players. Yeah. At least one of whom is injured now. Yeah. They've lost some of last year's players. Amrabat's gone back off his loan and all the rest of it. But it's crunch time now for the manager. They've got to start. As we said at the start of the show, it isn't enough that even at Manchester United play a style of football that is recognisable or even very attractive. They've got to get some results. They couldn't have a harder start to the season, the Community Shield against Manchester City. If you were, I daren't say, if you were, if you were the manager, who would you pick to start the game?
Well, you mentioned Amrabat, who played in the FA Cup final against Man City. He was one, that obviously is not there at the football club. And they've got a couple of injuries, even to new signings. I mean, it's pretty much Onana will play in goal.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Dalot, I think, of right back is a shoo-in. Martinez and Maguire, I think, will be the two centre-halves, we're sure. I'd add McTominay and Mainu as the two central midfielders with Eriksen in front. Again, that's a tricky one because Mount, I don't think, probably will play because in the final of the FA Cup, they played Garnacho and Rashford. Rashford played on the left. So I think he might stay with that, Rashford on the left and go Garnacho on the right. And a role that didn't suit Garnacho as well as he's much better on the left for me. He played Fernandes down the middle as a centre forward. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's a similar team because Rasmus Højlund's injured. So there's another.
And for the first time in a decade, they can't fall back on Anthony Martial, which is always Plan B, wasn't
exactly.
it? Yeah.
So the team, I'd say 80 to 90% of it picks itself.
The interesting one for me is Erik Ten Hag. Will he pick Scott McTominay because
rumours of
Fulham have had a bid rejected. I think Daniel Levy is counting out some beans to see if Spurs want to bid for him.
Well, what do you do? One of the problems you've got at Man United is what do you do with Casemiro? Because a very expensive, high-wage earner has probably got another close to 3 years left on his contract. You might want to get rid of him.
The evidence of your eyes that the fella's legs might be going.
Well, no, his legs have been. He's never been the quickest. So even if he lost a yard, and it clearly at the end of the season he couldn't get round the pitches like he once could. In his first year at Man United, he seemed like his legs were still okay, but father time catches up with you, and he really looked like he couldn't get around the pitch.
He's done some good things for him. For instance, who knew when he's playing for Real Madrid that he's brilliant at attacking the ball from corners, things like that.
Yeah, he's got some vital goals for Man United as well. But I just don't think that he will be in the team very often if he has to stay at Old Trafford. I think he'll be one of them that if they can't get him out, he's going to miss a lot of football and he's going to be very expensive for the club.
What about Mason Mount? What are they going to do with
too many injuries. But hopefully for Mason, he's had a big pre-season. He's played in a number of games. So he's part of the idea for next season. Mason's a good player and he's got high energy. He's just had horrendous 18 months. You just hope that he can get over this period and might be a shining light for Man United. But he's going to find it very difficult to get into the team, as is Sancho as well. Rashford, Sancho, Mount, all three for me. I'm not quite sure. You could put Anthony in there.
Oh, definitely.
A lot of their wide players, none of them is really a shoe-all. I think the one that you'd probably say the most is Garnacho, who's the one who's going to play more often than not on the left side.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.